Hey everyone, welcome to part 7 of our Google Ads course. In this specific course, we're going to be talking all about bidding strategies. So bidding really is the key to success with online marketing, and a bid strategy you can choose directly influences how your campaigns perform and the overall visibility of your ad. You're going to want to watch this entire video because we're actually going to dive deeper into the Google Ads platform and give you best practices on automated, manual bidding, and really just how to set up your account for success. All right, so what is automated bidding? What is manual bidding? So essentially, bidding is really just a decision process on how to prioritize certain keywords to certain users, right? Manual bidding is really just, again, it's in the name, a manual process of setting bids based on performance, right? Do you want to pull back desktop bids? Do you want to increase mobile bids or certain keywords driving better success, right? And it's really, again, the process of going in there and manually making those decisions. Whereas automated bidding is a bid strategy that automatically sets bids based on your ad's likelihood to result in a click or a conversion depending on the bid strategy, right? So automated bidding is really feeding in all that data and making decisions for you, right? To ensure that your campaigns are reaching your desired results. But why are we going to use automated bidding versus manual bidding, right? I think ultimately automated bidding is the future of Google for a few reasons. Number one, performance, right? So bids will influence how visible your ads are and the amount of interactions that you're going to get, right? And automated bidding with enough data can often achieve your desired results or even exceed your desired results if you've set it up appropriately, right? Number two is going to be the auction, right? So given the dynamic nature of auctions, there are thousands of queries happening every single day. Beyond just at the query level, there's a lot of audience signals and user experience quirks that factor into the overall auction, right? So it's very difficult for you to go in at a manual level with large complex accounts and making all these decisions that are going to direct in clicks or conversions, right? So automated bidding really helps drive performance at the auction level without the advertiser going in there and trying to make a lot of bid adjustments, a lot of manual adjustments, right? So that's something to be mindful of, really. It helps drive performance inside the auction. And then the last piece is going to be your user journey. So like I mentioned, there are so many signals that influence user behavior: their intent, their likelihood to complete valuable actions, and Google ultimately understands what's behind each click, right? Google often can determine if a user is going to be high quality, ready to make a purchase today, or is more on the consideration phase, right? And so if your ads are ranked well and you have the appropriate bid strategy, Google can find the users that are ready to convert and serve them your specific experience, right? So those are really some of the three factors that are driving automated bidding and the future of automated bidding in Google Ads. The benefits of automated and smart bidding, right? So smart bidding is really just another term for automated bidding. It's where you're giving Google just a ton of control. And again, be mindful with this. With any automated solution, you're going to need a ton of data. Without data, these automated solutions don't work, right? Without a good user experience on the landing page, on the ads, these automations aren't going to work, right? You can have the best campaign configuration, but if they're going to a bad landing page that isn't converting, it'll never work, right? So you have to think about everything that's surrounding the bid strategy and really set it up for success, right? With that said, there are a ton of really great benefits towards smart bidding and automated bidding, right? So the goal of most marketing campaigns is ultimately to reach the right user with the right message at the right time. As consumers span multiple devices, the customer journey has become much more complex. Automated smart bidding can honestly help bring in a lot of the data points that are under the hood that you as the advertiser don't fully see to bid on a user, not necessarily a search, right? And that's the overall goal, right? We're trying to generate results, not necessarily just a ton of clicks, right? And that's really valuable, right? So Google Ads automated bidding helps solve a lot of these complex, sophisticated challenges by automatically setting bids based on your performance goals, right? I mean, that's something to keep in mind. Every automated bidding solution needs a goal to drive towards, right? And so you have to be very focused on understanding, the conversion value of each lead, right? The CPL that's going to drive the best ROI. And then you feed that data into your smart bidding solution. So number one, right, the biggest benefit is going to be machine learning, right? So smart bidding uses machine learning algorithms to really help set an appropriate bid at every auction. And this takes much of the heavy lifting and guesswork at setting your own bids, right? So it's able to understand the competitive landscape, the search demand, your quality, factor it all in for a bid that's actually going to win the auction, so you're not losing impression share. Number two, time saved, right? So cross-reference audience data with context to establish intent to set the appropriate bids is complex, time-consuming task, right? And automation kind of helps, save you a ton of time, right? I know I have some accounts where if I went through and tried to manually bid on every single keyword, every single device adjustment, it would take me hours, right? And so it helps reduce the load so you can focus on what matters, which, like I mentioned before, is feeding the right data and being a strategist on the account. Number three is going to be auction time bidding. So Google's bidding algorithm is really tailored towards each user's unique context, using those relevant signals that present at each auction time, right? So Google can, in less than a second when the auction is happening, determine what leads, what clicks are really highly valuable that are going to result in your ultimate goal, your ultimate marketing focus, right? Fourth piece is going to be depth of signal. So Google's algorithm really integrates a large variety of signals, and I know I have another I think part 3 or part 4 audience targeting course talks a little bit more about audience signals and what they are, but Google's basically able to see the sites you're on, right? They conduct surveys, so they know really what users respond really well to certain messaging or certain ads, right? And what users are farther down that buying journey. And so depth of signals is not something you necessarily have when you're manually bidding. So again, you want to really utilize these automated solutions so you're bidding beyond just the query, beyond just the keyword, and you're really focused on who the user behind the search is. And that's really some of the biggest benefits to utilizing smart and automated bidding. Okay, so how do we choose the right bidding strategy, right? Ultimately, it comes down to you understanding what your marketing goals are, right? Google Ads offers several bidding strategies to choose from. And the strategy you choose really helps depend on the network of your campaign is targeting, the type of user, and your overall KPI, right? Key performance indicator. Whether it's a click, is it visibility, is it views, is it conversions, is it revenue, right? And ROI. And I think ultimately when you understand what your goals are, is it awareness, is it consideration, is it that conversion, you can set bidding strategies that are going to drive that goal, right? As you feed in the appropriate data. So Google has a myriad of different bidding strategies. So there's target impression share, and this really helps your ads meet a specific impression share threshold for a specific location, right? So think about impression share like market share. If you have a 95% impression share for a keyword, out of all of those searches, you're serving about 95%, which is extremely high. I see target impression share, the specific bid strategy, work really well for branded campaigns, but ultimately it's not a great strategy for low funnel, non-branded, right? Because it's not going to drive towards conversion. It's not going to drive towards revenue. It's really just driving towards making sure your ad is seen and has the appropriate bid to outbid everyone else, right? So think about that more as an awareness and branding style bid strategy. Then for consideration, you have maximize clicks. You also have manual CPC, ECPC, right? Those are not automated, those are more manual, but something to think about, right, as well. So maximize clicks really sets your bids to just get as many clicks as possible. And I don't often recommend maximize clicks, right? I usually leverage manual cost per click if I'm focused on the click. And often this is really something in the early infancy of a campaign. You're going to focus on clicks because you don't really have any data, right? So when you don't have a ton of data, you want to be able to view your keywords, view your search terms, and really understand what clicks are driving results, what clicks are more expensive, right? And then from there, you can kind of start to build out a more comprehensive conversion-based approach. But again, think about maximize clicks or ECPC as the first few months while you're trying to understand what your baseline cost per lead is going to be, right? And then once you have a lot of data and you want to start to bid more towards conversion and less so consideration, you're going to want to think about maximize conversions, TCPA, and TROAS, right? So Maximize conversions without a CPA target is going to drive as much conversion volume as possible within your budget. It's often pretty dangerous to not put a CPA target on your max conversions, especially if you don't have a ton of data, because Google is going to kind of go crazy, right? You could be bidding way higher and it really not driving a ton of revenue, and it takes a lot more data to bring the target CPA or just the overall account CPA down to something that you can afford, right? So think about that. I often recommend, if you're switching to a conversion bid strategy, go maximize conversion with the target CPA based on your historical data, right? So like I mentioned, in the beginning of a campaign, you're going to want to focus on getting clicks, getting data. Once you have your baseline, switch over to maximize conversions, set your CPA at your historical cost per acquisition. And that strategy often really yields great sustainable results. And then you can think about other marketing campaigns and other variations of really scaling that channel. And then TROAS, so target return on ad spend. This is something going to be for our enterprise clients, right? SA360 users, or really large e-commerce campaigns. Really, the goal here, and it works best it actually only really works if you can feed in revenue data through offline conversions or some sort of CRM integration or merchant center integration, right? Then Google can understand exactly the revenue implications of every click. So once you have a ton of revenue data fed in, you can then create a TROAS, a return on ad spend target, similar to return on investment target, that's going to drive results, right? So if you want to see a 1,000, return on ad spend, set it to 1,000. If you think you can achieve that, right, maybe go down to 500. If you're, blowing out of the water and you want to scale, start to increase that to maybe 2,000 to 3,000, right? So TROAS is a little bit more of a sophisticated smart bidding strategy, but again, really impactful if you have like a deep layer of data, conversion, and revenue integration. So I know I kind of just alluded to TROAS, but TROAS is a value-based bidding strategy, right? And so let's talk about what is value-based bidding, and the different variations, right? I know I mentioned, maximize conversions, eCPC, but I think value-based bidding really is going to be the future of automated bidding, really, where Google is able to understand the revenue implications and the exact dollar value of each click, and then find clicks, find users and leads that are going to drive towards revenue, not necessarily just a cost per lead basis, right? So, the number one thing with value-based bidding, it's about revenue, it's about dollars. And a maximized conversion value with the ROAS target automatically sets bids to help you get as much of the conversion value as possible. If you go to your conversions tab in Google Ads, you can actually see that every time you have a conversion, you have an option of putting a dollar amount. What is this lead worth? And I think that's a very valuable way of building out conversions. Even if you don't have a deep level of integration, right? You can start to test value-based bidding if you know relatively how much a lead is worth to your business, right? How much is a qualified lead worth, and then how much is a closed lead worth? And you can start to import that data and get smarter and smarter. And, I don't see a lot of service-based companies leveraging value-based bidding, but we highly recommend it because it really does set yourself apart and gives you a better revenue approach to your Google Ads campaign. As often, people think that a lot of leads means a lot of dollars, and that's not always the case, right? Often, there's a balance of, the right amount of leads that are driving the right revenue, but you hit a ceiling inevitably, right? And so then anything beyond that is going to be overkill and going to be too expensive, right, for the marketplace. Okay, so now we can jump directly into the Google Ads UI and actually build out, a few different bidding strategies and show you where to find them in the campaign settings, but then also how to go to conversions and develop a value-based strategy. Okay, so now that we're in the campaign or in the Google Ads UI, let's jump into one of our prospecting campaigns. And we're going to go over to the settings tab. And this is where you can toggle between bid strategies. Okay, so now that you're inside the campaign settings, just come down here to bidding and then select bidding. And then you're going to hit change bidding strategy. And so you're going to see that Google's going to give you a lot of different options, right? We have maximize clicks, maximize conversions, maximize conversion value. That's going to be like your TROAS, and then target impression share. And then Google really only gives you one manual bidding option now. So on manual bidding, manual CPC, you have the ability to increase your conversions using eCPC. I often recommend eCPC, but basically Google says enhanced cost per click, or eCPC, can help you get more conversions from manual bidding. eCPC works by raising your max cost per click bids for clicks that seem more likely to lead to conversions and lowering your max CPC. The goal with enhanced cost per click is really Google's able to leverage some of their conversion value, or I'm sorry, their conversion signals, like I mentioned in automated bidding, where it's almost like a pseudo, it's primarily manual, but they might take a few liberties at the auction to push users towards your site, or to increase your cost per click bid to find conversion value, right? So again, optimize for conversions or optimize for conversion value, depending on how you have your conversion set up. You can select there. Again, I often recommend that you only leverage manual CPC for the first few months while you're trying to understand what the market looks like. From there, you can set maximize clicks, and then I often recommend setting a CPC limit. Do some competitive research and decide what that is for. If your budgets are opened up and you're just trying to get a ton of clicks and you don't care what the CPC bid limit is, you don't have to leverage this. But for most advertisers, you have strict budgets, strict goals, and so put a max CPC that works for your business. Then we're going to go to maximize conversions. Target cost per acquisition, cost per action. Again, this is really just, the old TCPA that is now maximize conversions, right? So Google's just going to try to find as many conversions as possible for your allotted cost per lead or cost per acquisition. Maximize conversion value, set a target return on ad spend. This is your target ROAS that I was mentioning, right? So again, it's going to try to maximize the conversion value. If you want to have 1,500, return on ad spend, then definitely put that there. I don't recommend, similar to the TCPA option, leaving this blank. You want to always give automated bidding options, right, which is really vital. Then Google also has this little notification before setting a TROAS. Wait until your account has proper conversion tracking for at least 15 conversions in the last 30 days. Again, Google's telling you don't utilize automated bidding unless you have conversions in your account. Okay, so now that we've kind of run through all these, well, actually we can go to target impression share. Again, this is kind of your option if this is a branding campaign. We utilize target impression share really only for our branding campaigns, and there's a whole other strategy utilizing rules and such. But yeah, you can put at the top of the results, I want to get 95%. And then, if you really want to give 95%, don't put any max CPC here because it's all about getting the 95% target impression share. Give it one goal to focus on if you're going to do it this way. Okay, now we can jump into actual conversions to talk about how to set your conversions up for success and build out value in them. Okay, so now that we're in our conversions tab, let's select application submitted. And again, this is really if you want to leverage TROAS or conversion value bidding strategy, but just select it and hit edit settings. And again, you have to understand the value of an application, the value of a qualified lead. If a true value is 1,500, make sure you're putting that in there so that every time Google basically drives a lead that applies, it's basically, hey, we just gave you $1,500 to your business, right? And so Google's going to keep driving towards your TROAS, your return on ad spend, based on this value right here. And then, in terms of actually, like, if you don't have offline conversions, right, then don't worry about this. Just put, what a normal lead is worth. Maybe it's 100, maybe it's 300, right? If you do have offline conversions, and we have another video on that, make sure you know how to import your data. There's a few different ways. You can do it manually. You can do it through Google Sheets, or you can even connect your data, your CRMs like Salesforce or something like that. Okay, so now that we ran through Google Ads, and you should have a good understanding of how to decide on the correct bid strategy, how to build out your conversion value in a meaningful way if you're going to leverage value-based bidding. But I wanted to kind of just discuss final thoughts. So understand all the bidding strategies that are available so that you know exactly what bidding strategy is going to solve your marketing goal, right? And that leads to number 2, determine what your marketing goal is. Like, really understand what what are you trying to achieve and what are your primary KPIs. If you want to generate revenue, understand the lead impact, understand your max cost per lead, right? Understand the value of each lead, and then build that into your bidding strategy and your bidding strategy's focus, right? And then know the difference and understand the nuance between manual and automated bidding, right? Again, there's definitely a place for manual bidding still in this environment, but utilize it correctly. And then also don't be afraid of automated bidding. Automated bidding really is the future, and if you can really jump in and support automated bidding through conversions value, through offline conversion tracking, your campaigns are going to be extremely successful. So overall, thank you for watching this video. We'll link to our other videos in the video notes, and we'll see you on the next one.